was a crazy weather week last week, and I'm here now in the Weather Center with meteorologist Jacob Dickey. Jacob, I got to tell you, last week when that big system came through, I was on the road.
Yeah, were you?
It got so bad I had to pull off to the side because I literally could not see anything.
So I was on the road too.
Where were you?
I was in the storm tracker, of course, right?
Of course.
Yeah, we're out there driving to these things.
So what was that?
So it's a derecho, and we kind of talked a little bit last week with Heather, because a lot of times these big windstorms come through. What's a derecho? First off, derecho, just an intense line of windy storms that's moving in our way. And the question that popped up specifically.
I wanted to set that up. So last week's derecho ended up producing a lot of tornadoes. The question is that a record?
It's a very fascinating question because actually, yes, it may end up being a record. There are still surveys going. You know, we're 8-9 days past that. There are still surveys going as of Tuesday afternoon. It looks like, unofficially, we have broken the record for the most tornadoes on a single day in state history. Isn't that crazy to think about?
How old is that record?
Well, that goes back to 1996, so folks at home may remember it. 1996, April 19th, that was when Decatur got hit. Decatur got hit the night before as well. Southeast Urbana got hit. Yankee Ridge areas down there towards Myra Ridge. And then Ogden got hit by tornadoes then, so that's a bit of a record that, you know, that's a big event, that one, to think of the number of tornadoes. Now, I got a map to show you those tornadoes as well here. So let's take a peek at it. First off, when you look at the number of confirmed tornadoes, as of Tuesday midday, the National Weather Service had looked at 40 different tracks that were associated with that squall line coming through, that derecho that came on through. None of them were here in central Illinois. We actually have not had any confirmed yet. Now, they could come back and say, yep, we spotted some, we found some. The difference now is 50 years ago, it would have just been a big windstorm that came through. But with satellite technology, with all of the people with cameras and phones and social media, all the pictures and reports that they can get, they can see a lot more of those reports and find those tornadoes a lot easier. There's a lot more forensics that goes into that. And so there probably could be events that have had more. This one, though, they've been able to identify with the recent technology advance to that. So we haven't had any here. There's been a number towards Peoria and the Quad Cities. But the interesting place is right here. Look at the Chicago area. Look at all of those lines. Those lines are representative of individual tracks that moved on through. You cannot tell me tornadoes don't hit downtown areas. Chicago had several of them come on through. The thing to note about this outbreak, though, is a vast majority of these tornadoes were on the weak side. They were EF0 and EF1. And 50 years ago, again, whether it was a 0 or 1, a weak tornado, or 80, 90-mile-per-hour winds, maybe the intensive forensics wasn't put into that. But finally being able to plot that here, and they've been using a lot of satellite data to check that out. So I found that very interesting. There was one tornado that was rated EF2. That came here across I-55 between Wilmington and I-80 and tracked to the east towards I-57 there in the far southern suburbs. That shut down I-55 actually for about 3 days because of some of the high-tension power lines that were down there. So when we look at it here, talk about the storms coming on through. Yes, it was a record. However, it is not a record for the most strong tornadoes, the most intense type of tornadoes that we have.
So volume, not quality of tornado.
Yeah, it is more of the quantity versus, I guess quality is not the word we want to say, but when you think of those intense outbreaks, those still, April 19th, 1996, March 31st, 2023, the Taylorville tornado outbreak, those are the ones that stand out.
Awesome. Well, we have another question for you. Not tornado related. You've actually been talking about wildfire smoke coming back. How does that impact us?
Yeah, so there's a lot of fires that are burning out in Canada and in the Pacific Northwest. And every once in a while in the summertime, we get a northwest flow that can drag that smoke our way. I'll show you here a quick graphic that illustrates that. And so as we watch here, this is future track for the next number of days. It's been showing a big plume of smoke there. With this pattern, some of that smoke can sometimes get dragged our way. At this point, most of it's been elevated. Sometimes early morning, you might catch a quick little a faint smell of smoke. The air quality through today is reduced a bit, but I think in the days to come we've got to watch because that's a lot of thick smoke showing up that may end up coming our way before all is said and done. So when it comes to that, then we recommend checking with the air quality forecast. So we'll keep you updated on that. If there's smoke in the air and it's mixing down to the surface, that can cause problems for folks. So
especially if you have some lung issues or breathing issues.
Especially those types of situations. So we'll keep you updated on that. Something we're watching. It happens often, but I think a lot of folks remember last year. How that
it got really bad. Yeah. Remember the burn still. Well, thank you, Jacob. If you have a question for our meteorologist, there's a look at how you can connect with Jacob, and we look forward to being back next week with more of your questions.